honest Muslim here, we had a
It's a strange
conversation
thing
with
for
him
your
off
mum to call
camera.
you, really.
Sorry?
It's a strange name for your mum to give you. I'm
What?
just honest Muslim.
That's not what my mum
I'm
said.
joking.
No, we get
He
it.
actually gave me that
I'm
name.
joking.
He actually gave me that
It's an
name.
anomaly. That's what
Yeah.
he's saying.
Right, so basically, I made a claim that ahad means unification. So, Tawhid.
Yep.
Tawhid means unification, but he wants to argue otherwise. He wants to argue that.
No, I'm not.
one.
I'm not arguing. What do you call it? The term. The term does mean to unify.
But what can you unify
what
of a
is
solitary
What is
unit?
unifying? Okay.
See, but this is
So we
where.
discussed that.
No,
What
but,
is unifying?
but this is why.
You can't unify something that is
Well, that's
a
his claim.
one.
You can.
How?
Because-
what do you unite
Right,
it to?
Exactly. So this
And
is
why
why
was
this.
it in disarray
so
to start with?
the scholars have made it very clear that Tawhid, when it comes to the unification, right, is unifying the attributes and attributing it all to Allah. So if you actually, when people study Aqidah from the ground up, then you understand what Tawhid actually means, right?
Can I just make a quick clarification, maybe, or a request for clarification? If you're uniting all of Allah's attributes before attributing them to, like it's all a one-time deal, I guess, but if they're all perfectly attributable to Him, obviously, like Yahweh is love as opposed to being loving, like, you know, He's the epitome of those traits. So therefore, why do we need a human scholar to unify them? God is already one.
So the scholars do this to explain to the people. It's not because we need the scholars to
For a
teach.
clear and concise Quran, you need scholars?
The Quran is clear with regards to the muhkamat verses, right? The things
Is
which
there
are
universal
foundational.
agreement as to what
Yes.
is clear?
Yes. Right. So the clear verse, the clear aspects of the Quran. What is clear about the Quran? That it teaches that Allah is one. That the prophets preach the
But we're
same
not
message.
sure about the one without the
no,
scholars.
no, we're not.
So,
No, no, we're
you
not.
see what I mean?
No, we're sure about the
No,
one.
no,
without the
sorry, I
scholars.
misspoke. We're
Yeah.
not sure what the oneness actually means
No,
until a scholar
the
comes
oneness,
and tells us.
the oneness of Allah is understood. The
Well, the
breakdown.
oneness of one thing
No.
is pretty self-evident.
Right, exactly. So this is what we're saying. This is
But
clear.
you don't have to unify it.
No, no.
Oneness is different from
Tawheed.
unity.
Right, so Tawheed, when it's broken down into its three categories, or some scholars say two categories because they combine two of the categories, they break it down into these three categories to make the layman understand specific aspects of Allah, who He is, what He does, why we worship Him, all of this stuff. So this stuff
So
is then
they're
broken down
trying
in
In
detail.
fairness, I'm asking this. So what they're trying to do, bearing in mind the advocation not to ask questions, they're trying to preempt any questions by just giving a load of answers in case the layman doesn't
No,
quite get it.
these questions have been asked,
But
and this is
isn't
why.
it said, don't ask questions if you find the answer might trouble you?
No,
It is
it's
said.
no. It doesn't. That's not what the verse says. The verse says when something is made clear to you,
Yep.
then don't ask questions, because what happens
Oh, well,
after
then
questions?
that's a redundant.
No, because for example,
Instruction.
for example, philosophers do that often, right? Their job is actually to create questions out of things that
Sure,
are clear.
no, I am
right?
metaphysics, and I'm down with you. I know exactly
All right,
what you
so
mean.
this is what it is, and what happened in
the
the
Quran
time?
is speaking
no,
to the layman as well.
yeah, because the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, they would ask things to the Prophet after they've been made clear to them. So he said, don't make. So for example, there's a very famous teaching, what do they call it, in Islam. Subhanallah. I actually have to go into a minute.
That's all right, I'm going in a minute as well.
Right.
We've got 10. Go for it.
So, for example, the question about Allah. Satan,
unity. Oh, no, sorry.
Satan, he comes to the people and he tries to cause doubt about God and everything. Now, when he sees, one of the questions he asks, that gets in the mind of people is, who created Allah? Who created God?
I'm going to counter this so you can do a minute if you don't mind, sir, because I'll forget all my questions, as it were.
Yeah, but my memory's not all
Well,
there
I'm
as
just
well.
going to throw it out there then that Allah said doubt is a sin for Christianity, and I remember Allah saying if mankind didn't sin, He would wipe them out. So
That's correct.
Iblis is fulfilling a function, as it were, like a saving grace, for want
No.
of a much better term. No, I'm saying he's
Because we
by
sin.
introducing doubt, he's causing mankind to sin, and therefore, like negating the need to be wiped out utterly.
No, it's not. Because
How?
we create sin without Satan's
But
influence as well.
you don't have the Christian view of the curse, do you?
No, we don't.
So why do you sin?
So
It's a choice then.
It's a choice. It's simply a choice. So yes, we have the
So why
influence
don't
of.
babies go to Jannah?
They do.
But didn't Muhammad say that one of it may? I feel like Aisha asked him about a baby, and he said not necessarily. I guess in a nutshell or
No,
paraphrasing.
what do you call it? It's very clear in Islam.
It'll come up on the screen of my camera. I know
That's
that
what
much.
it's very clear in Islam that children up to the age of puberty, they are not held accountable. So if they
How is
die,
it very clear when Muhammad said literally otherwise? He was talking about an individual case. Fair enough. I feel like it was maybe a miscarriage. I may be wrong about that.
I'm not sure about the case.
It's a bird of paradise was referenced. If anyone wants to.
Well, I'm not
Google
sure
it.
about the reference.
Yeah,
So if you have the reference, we can discuss it, but not today,
Next
please.
week.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
You're on my page.
Yeah,
Don't
all
worry
right.
about it. Back to sin is a choice.
So sin's a choice, right? At the end of the day, look, it's very clear in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about to Iblis, because Iblis and Allah have this conversation, right? And Allah is very clear. He says to Iblis that you will have no power over my righteous servants. So the people who choose to obey Allah, Satan has no control or authority over them.
And now my question would be, if Allah says, and he does, when I say if, it's a rhetoric, when he says, I guide who I guide, and I misguide who I misguide, and who are you to guide who I misguided, or will misguide, or whatever the phrase is.
So,
Hang on a minute, whoa.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that
the phrase.
means that to choose to sin is
No.
preempted by, but if he's guided you righteously, and you are one of the righteous that you mentioned, that implies that if sin is the deal breaker,
Why does he
which I don't know if it is.
But the question is not
No,
that.
it isn't, because he takes it off of Muslims and puts it onto Christians and judgment.
No, it doesn't.
Why do you
This
keep...
is-
Are you not a Sunni?
I am a Sunni, but I know these hadith, right?
But does it say that?
So in
It's
fact-
not like I'm making it
no,
up.
No, the hadith says this,
Ah,
right?
just
As a
double-checking
ransom.
I wasn't
It actually
tripping.
uses the word ransom, right?
Yeah,
But
redeeming
but in
is
Fath
what it
al-Bari,
means.
so it's explained in Fath al-Bari, right? Which is the exegesis.
Explanation. So, but I'd rather take Allah's word, as it were, than what's his name?
Okay.
It's not Bukhari.
It's not Bukhari, right?
Sorry, I misheard it, and it's a lot of pollen, and I'm all...
So the book is the collection is called Fath al-Bari. No, Fath al-Bari explains, it's a commentary of the hadith. Now we have to bear in mind, and this is what I say to Christians often, you can read a hadith at face value.
What if I can find
But-
a commentary? Because I know that the fact that you've referenced one, but when you've referenced one, to my mind, I assume that there are others that don't say what that one says. Similar to
okay.
65.4, there are variously, slightly different interpretations.
Yes, I agree. There
Yeah,
are different
so-
interpretations of different things. But the point is, Fath al-Bari is the most authoritative works on explaining Sahih Bukhari. Okay.
Oh, Bukhari. Only,
Right.
yeah.
So he explains Sahih Bukhari, and the hadith is found in Bukhari. Okay.
So if there's oftentimes Islam and Bukhari have like not duplicates but very similar.
Well, there are duplicate
No, I know.
reports,
So
yeah.
I'm saying, so if there are commentaries on
Yeah, but the
Sahih
thing is-
Islam, then it
See
may be
now,
a different.
what happens is because I have many of these books at home.
I bet you do.
So-
I haven't got. It's too many. Too many.
Well, I'm actually I've still got a long
I've
list.
seen them. They're massive.
Yeah. So, and I've cross-referenced these things, and they say pretty much the same thing.
Start a database.
And it's like a
Make it
database. So,
available.
like,
No, start one.
it's oh god.
Share the link around because you're.
I have actually
lot of people could
I've
argue
started.
better.
I have actually started a Discord channel for people to be able to document this stuff, but I haven't paid attention to it because of my life.
Then you've got to check if their stuff is Sahih. You've
I
got
know,
to
that's
put
why-
only your own stuff in and freely share
I
it.
agree, but that's why I haven't paid it too much attention because I'm so busy. When I have
Discord
time,
is an all or nothing deal, trust me.
it's not.
No, but it takes up
but
so
it's a
much
good
time
place.
if you're
I know.
dedicated.
But anyway, the point here is that hadith is not saying what you think it says.
Right.
Right. The ransom it's language. It's a use of language. The ransom is not an actual language.
But when it says
So-
as a mountain, takes it off and puts it onto.
So the mountain is
It's not really
essentially
a ransom, is it? It's a transference.
No, so in the Arabic language, the phrase of lifting a mountain off someone's shoulder is to lift a burden.
Sure.
Right.
Where's he putting the burden? Jews
No,
and
but the
Christians?
thing is, why is that putting on the Jews and on the thing?
Is it
It's
not
not.
as good as the-
No, it's because
They're
see, so when it comes to
Doesn't say that.
So this hadith actually falls within the category of qada and qadr, right? The sixth pillar of iman. The sixth pillar of
Isn't
iman.
it complicated?
No, it's not.
I mean,
the
like
reason
a lot of
the reason
technical-
people think it's complicated is because they
Because they talk to Muslims who are defended as opposed to like
explaining. I agree. I don't like the defensive approach,
the
right?
attacking slash. Yeah.
I don't even like the attacking. To be honest, I'm trying to move away from
You're
speaking
in the
about the
wrong
Bible.
place, babes. I'm just saying.
No, even here, I don't talk to people
If
about
you
the
talk
Bible
about-
much.
But that's what.
Because I'm here to call to
with
Islam.
respect, that's what I find dismaying. That when I want to talk biblical, it's always it depends on what to my mind the interlocutor is trying to discuss.
I speak to people based on what they want to speak to. If you want to speak to me about
That's
the Bible,
why
that's
you
fine.
give you
But-
your name
Yeah, but if people want to speak to me about Islam, I'm more than happy to
next
speak
week.
about Islam.
Next week.
Yeah. If I'm here.
Trademark.
If I'm here. I'm not
Right.
guaranteed. So this falls under the category of qada and qadr. Now there are other hadith that explain this hadith. right?
Going back slightly to guide who I guide and misguide.
Okay, so what happens is, so Allah has made it very clear that the people, it's in the Quran as well, right? While He says, I guide who I will and I misguide.
And then He says, who are you to guide who I misguide?
No,
or whichever
no,
way
it says,
around. Who are you to misguide? I don't know.
No, Allah guides who He wills, and whoever He guides, no one can misguide. And whoever He misguides, no one can guide.
Then I'm thinking of
So
either
essentially
either a hadith or a different verse, because it says, and in brackets, someone, I can't remember.
That may be I don't think it's just like that. Who are
It's
you?
not
But
talking to Muhammad, it's talking to
mankind. To mankind. No, to mankind.
No, because why would... Oh,
To
yeah, but I
mankind.
guess so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you're right.
So, but the reason, what is the reason He chooses to guide certain people and misguide certain people? That's the question that people have to ask.
That would keep me up at night if I was a Muslim.
Well, I've researched it. It's because people choose it for themselves. So if a person,
No.
yes.
If I guide you, I've guided you into something.
No.
You
So
can't
what happens
guide
is,
from behind.
no. So what happens is, like the Quran is a tool for guidance and misguidance.
Sure, but we're talking about Allah.
No, but this is what Allah uses it through. So some people read the Quran and they receive guidance from it, but some people read the same Quran and they get misguided. But why?
But that implies that without their intervention at this stage,
No,
without
so
their
Allah-
intellect, they are just misguided.
No. So what happens is some people read the Quran in order because they don't want to believe in it, so they try to find fault in it.
But Allah doesn't mention any of this. To
No,
be
no,
fair.
it-
He doesn't say those with a wicked
See, the
heart
thing
or
is,
something like
he
that
does.
come to it. No,
He
I
does.
mean within that framework that we just quoted,
Yes.
he's saying I guide and I
Okay, so actually-
misguide.
so
You
actually-
can't misguide an already misguided.
So actually, in the second chapter of the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, right, in the 6th verse onwards, right, and actually quite throughout the second chapter, it actually talks about the people who choose misguidance for
Now, that's
themselves.
fair enough.
No, but then what does He say?
They choose for Allah to misguide them
No,
or Iblis?
they choose for themselves
Oh
misguidance.
yeah, because it's a choice. Sorry.
Right, so it's
yeah.
a choice. So they choose for themselves misguidance. So what does Allah do? He
Goes along with it.
He goes along
kind of
with
thing.
it.
But
Right.
the ones that other than those people,
No,
the ones that,
what-
that's the totality of
That's
it.
the totality of it. It is
I'm gonna check
literally
that. I
simple.
don't think
It
I
is
fully
literally that
believe
simple.
that.
So
But then you wouldn't have had to research it if it's literally that simple.
no, the research doesn't necessitate something to be complicated. Research merely means to bring out
Yeah, I
all
know.
the different sources.
But if you just go, oh yeah, it is. It's not really research. It's just having a little Joe Rogan.
No, because
moment.
you still need to
Thank
research
you.
the Quran. You still need
I know,
to be
the
able
Quran.
to.
I'm talking about
No,
this specific
but
guidance.
even that, how did the scholars come to explain such a simple thing? Is because they researched the Quran, they pondered upon it, they extracted the relevant verses, and to create a cohesive picture for the people who don't do that.
At its core, I think it just came up in my mind that given what you've said about some people choose to be misguide themselves rather, how do we know, and this is a rhetorical, that those aren't some of the ones who've given the commentaries on the, if human beings, if it's like Allah knows and you know, what I'm asking is, church fathers aside, yay, and all
No,
that.
no, with
No,
Muslims
me,
also.
with the Bible, with my tradition, my like theology, church fathers, yes. If I, with my human intellect and God, like illuminating it for me, if I can't fit what they're saying in with the Bible must prevail. If you see what I mean, it must be a higher authority than a human.
I don't want to go into what the Bible says and the
No,
whole
the
thing with the
Quran.
but
These
the Quran-
tafsir guys, they
Yes.
might be as flawed as the man who got it wrong in the first
No, but
place.
but this is the thing. This is why we actually have criticisms, right? Yes.
Yeah, they keep their head, these guys, for a hot minute afterwards.
No, there are. Like for example, one of the medieval scholars, Ibn al-Arabi, he's known to be a disbeliever, even though he's
Constructive criticism, would you say,
constructive
maybe?
criticism,
Yeah.
and some people are even called outright as disbelievers. And these are people that have produced Islamic works.
And their stuff is still in the not canon, but in the
It's still
available.
in circulation,
Yeah.
but it's documented as something not
Yeah.
to be taken seriously.
Similar to when they call Hafs, I'm being contentious, but when they say he's not to be trusted, or this, it's there. But
I
they
actually
say-
made a detailed response, right, to the aspect of the reliability of Hafs.
to the person who said that, not me, the Muslim scholar who
Well, it
lists
wasn't actually.
him as.
It wasn't actually a scholar. So
Well, it was some geezer down the shops.
no, it was what's his name? It was
Years old, though.
This is years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
But,
It's the test of time as
No, some guy that his Muslim name was Yusuf or Ismail. No, it was Ismail.
his Muslim name, meaning he was a convert.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he reverted to Islam, then he left Islam, and this was one of his criticisms. That's how I came across it, and I did a detailed refutation. It was actually on Twitter, but then I made a detailed refutation elsewhere. But that's on my own.
I know you've got to go, and just as a frippery, really, not to wrap
Okay,
it up, but
so
just,
Hafs,
I just want to say, if everyone reverts That means that everyone else is an apostate. Is that right? You're born a Muslim, though.
You're born a
And
Muslim.
I'm not one now.
Yeah.
throw
It doesn't
down
make
there.
you an apostate.
Oh, just double checking.
So what we mean by born Muslim is that you're born with that natural
Yeah, no, I
inclination.
understand what
Okay,
it means,
fine.
but to
Right.
revert to something means you already were that thing. Muslim is a submission, and a submission is a decision.
But this is why there's a discussion among the Muslims about whether revert is the right word
Yeah,
to use.
I hope there
you
is,
know?
yeah.
There is,
There
okay?
should
Me, I don't mind either way.
Yeah.
They're all Muslim at the end of the day, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
care.
that and all.
You know, so...
Maybe. So go wrap up because I know
Yeah,
you're itching
so
to go.
regarding
And I'm just
Hafs,
itching 'cause
so
of
just
what
quickly,
I-
regarding Hafs. Hafs's reliability with regards to the Quran has never been called into the question. It was his reliability in hadith.
Prior to that.
No.
Oh, after.
No, because
Before
Hafs
his
is
recitation.
no, because prior to his recitation, he was merely a student. His prominence
He didn't
came.
give his library books. It was something to do with stealing
No,
books
no,
or
it was not.
stories.
No.
Yes, it was.
It was with regards to his transmission of hadith. His
I
transmission
feel like a book thief is somewhere in the
his
blurb.
transmission of hadith was not that reliable, but his what do you call it? Transmission of Quran
Which
was
is a
par
hadith in
excellence.
itself, like par excellence, as it were.
Yeah.
If you can find
It's a
a
different
hadith
subject.
like this.
It's a different subject matter.
Only
Now-
if you're going to say it doesn't mean what I just said it
No,
says.
but the thing is, like, this is why even today we have
Why
scholars
would you
in-
take someone who's not 100% trustworthy in all their dealings?
because people have specialities.
And are we I say we, is mankind assuming on the basis of the scholarly, like, I guess, research that Hafs unintentionally mistransmitted the hadith, or was he, like, willfully mistransmitting?
No, so the
Does anyone
general
know?
consensus is that he made mistakes. Yeah, that he
Which
wasn't.
still
he wasn't
makes
good.
you not the best person to recite
Well,
something
this is why his
oral
field wasn't in.
tradition.
This is why his field wasn't in hadith. His field was in Quran, right? And not.
It still doesn't make
No.
me
The reason
confident.
being, the reason being is like, for example, even today you have scholars today that are prominent in not only reciting one qira'ah of the Quran, but all 10 qira'ats of the Quran. But when it comes to hadith, they find difficulty in it.
No, that's fine.
No, and this is the situation with Hafs.
But you need, if either someone is, you understand my point, I'm sure, that if I'm a typist, for example, and they say, well, she's brilliant, you know, she typed the Bible and yet she got a couple of emails really like mapped up on to Amazon or something like unimportant compared to the Quran or Bible.
Yeah.
You would think, oh, maybe we'll wait for someone who gets it all, whose memory is such, his oral memory is such that they can transmit.
Because even with the people of the people of hadith, the people who are good in transmitting,
But they're doing a
hadith,
chain, with all due respect.
no,
the
but
Quran
each-
is only a chain of Jibril, like, you know.
It's not just from Jibril, from
Allah,
Allah to
Jibril,
Jibril to
Muhammad.
Muhammad.
No?
That's no. And then it's from Muhammad to all the companions that
Yeah, no,
memorize
the
it. From
Quran
companions-
is the chain up unto Muhammad, and then
it's
when
up
you
to
read
Allah.
the Quran, no, up to meaning down to. Sorry,
no,
like
it's down to
until.
today. No, it's
Up
until
to
today.
meaning until.
Until today.
No, it's not changed, is it? There's only one Quran, surely.
No, the chain of narration.
What I'm saying is, at the point of Muhammad's part in the chain, it's then committed by those who just hear Muhammad and write it down, like kind of thing. There's no
It's all
further.
checked. It's all checked.
Yeah, exactly. So he's the last part of the chain before the Quran becomes a book, and then the readers of the Quran are the next part of the chain because they're going to transmit to their children. Hell no.
Because the Quran is
Either
transmitted
way,
orally.
it's only four.
No,
It's only four chains.
The Quran is transmitted orally.
But
no, it's
Allah's
not.
words can't be corrupted. So why are we worrying about transmission of the Quran when it's the hadiths that? You see what I mean?
No, we worry about both. We worry about
Yeah.
both. But look,
More reason not to have someone who's a bit.
no, but the thing is, our religion is preserved in the Quran and the Hadith. So the authentic Hadith is preserved.
Last point. The
please.
ones, no, for real. The ones that he transmitted erroneously, obviously there must have been faithful transmissions of them floating around.
Of what? The Quran or Hadith?
No, the Hadith.
Right.
The ones that have got slightly wrong. There must have been a very right one for them to go, oh, that doesn't match, therefore he's
Yeah, of
in
course, there's a
error.
whole science.
But so if you believe the Quran can't be corrupted, Hadith obviously can be because there's a whole science.
Because
No, you do believe that because there are Hassan and there are.
no. So in terms of corruption, what do we mean by corruption?
A
It means
misstep in the chain.
It means no.
An
It
unfavourable
means
transmission.
it means that what we have today is no longer what we had back then. But that's not the case. We still have, while people have made things up,
Yeah,
right?
because if it's not
Yeah,
Sahih,
look,
it's not
no,
Sahih.
but that's the thing. The Sahih tradition is maintained, and that is the authentic.
I'm not questioning that.
Right,
No,
so
I
that's what I'm
agree.
saying. So
Yeah.
when I talk about
In fact,
preservation
the ones
of
that are like very weak are weak for a reason, and and it's because they've been corrupted. Because surely
Not necessarily.
they were.
No.
Some of them must have been faithfully transmitted up to a point, and then something went wrong.
Not
the man
necessarily.
had dementia. Something happened.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but
Right,
possibly.
But there is a high chance.
Hey,
Right,
not
okay.
even a medium, a high chance. Excellent.
That's why they're weak, right?
And therefore, why have anyone who's involved in a chain that following
That was
them?
the last point, no?
No,
Come
yeah,
on.
it was.
Right.
All right, but Jesus is
No.
still God.
Well,
That's
you
my
can
final
look.
point.
You can believe that. We
Okay,
believe.
thank you.
We believe that.
I have to. Allah said, "Stand on the gospel." For me,
This
He
is
didn't-
this
he
is
didn't
another
say
point.
anything. We don't know nothing.
I'm not going to, obviously, like I said, I need to go. But look, you believe that. I always say to the Christians, let us come to common terms. That we worship only
That's
one
what you
God.
always said. Let us reason together.
Let's reason together. Let's come to common terms that we worship one God and not associate partners with Him.
We both worship one God, but they are different gods. I don't believe there is any other God,
No,
but
this is why we
I don't
say,
believe Allah is
and we
Yahweh.
don't associate any partners with Him. We believe that you worship.
With Allah?
We
Yeah,
believe
that's
that you worship Allah. You call Him the Father. Hold on, look, just from our perspective, we believe that you do worship Allah. However, you associate with Him, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit as gods beside Him.
Even though Allah said things about Isa that He didn't say about any like mere human. I'm gonna. This is my wrap up, as it were, rather than
Please.
last
Yeah,
point.
'cause I'm not gonna respond to anything else
No,
now.
that's fine.
Okay.
I would say that whilst we've been talking about tafsir and transmission, the Bible predates. Obviously, you can't not accept this. The Quran, the book form of the Quran, and Allah references back to His sayings and doings, as it were, as Yahweh. And yet they're found in the Bible to be, there are discrepancies. You can obviously say it's corrupted. I'm not in it to win it like that. The point is that if Allah came second, I can say He's not God because my God, Yahweh, has said concrete, non-tafsirable statements that Allah gives literally a diametrically opposed view to. So I can bring those to you whenever you turn up next time.
Well, yeah, when I do.
Discord potentially, but I don't check it either.
But the thing is I don't as well. I'm far too busy. I've got a lot of projects going on.
Streamline is my advice.
StreamYard.
No,
What?
streamline your
Streamline.
projects. No, because no, for real, I'm a procrastinator, and if you've got one,
It's not so much about procrastination. It's the
it's
fact
about
that
overloading.
all my projects
are
connect.
equally important.
No, they connect.
Well, then do section them off.
So I'm actually writing a whole book about chapter 10, verse 94, just on that verse. So that's one of my projects, but it's actually tying
So
into.
obviously you need to cross-reference.
So it references a lot of other projects that I'm also working on. For example,
As a carousel.
But
Just do this on a Monday, this on a Tuesday, because you get like a fresher perspective.
full-time work makes that very hard.
Well,
I mean, if my job was a researcher, great, but that's not my job.
start annoying your boss with reams of research and see if he just says, you know what?
I'm in construction, so completely different
Start
field.
researching my construction is not a good job for you to have.
No. What do you call it?
Anyway, I don't know where you're wrapping up to, but I feel like it's wrapped up anyway. Elbow, hand, I
No.
don't really. Not even through 14 layers of.
Nothing.
I've been shunned people. No, I'm joking. All right, thank you
Alright.
for your time. I've got an I'll hold my chest as well because it's like in a rap video, isn't it?
Is it?
I'm joking.
Okay.
I don't even know where I'm looking now. I think he's wandered
I'm
off.
actually
the
waiting for my
Christian.
friend because I was meant to go with him.
Right, I don't know who. This is JC's mic. There we are. SOCO. No, sorry, I'm looking at the camera. Anyway, God bless this guy. God did say that, just in case he's about to say he didn't. And I'm pretty confident that it's now time to wrap up the entire proceedings, but JC will obviously tell me otherwise when he comes back. So look out for his research and his book. Paperboy probably has got like some contact details and access to. He's got videos with Paperboy as well. If you feel like a load of research coming your way, and other than that, one thing at a time. Otherwise, everything gets. Trust me, I'm talking from.
Experience.
So much, and yeah, I still don't learn, obviously. But anyway, God bless. Subscribe. Ciao. It's very hot here. Pollen, people, the usual. Laters. Thank you very much. Cheers,
Hard
folks.
to pin them down. For instance, like that.
Go on then, I'll listen again.
We had a conversation with Kay, and she asked a couple of questions, and I've answered them to the best of my ability. What we have realized throughout the years speaking to Christians is that questions about Islam are usually on a superficial level because And it's not fault,
never get
and
an
it's not,
answer.
and it's not the fault of the Christians because they are limited to the English translations that they have access to. Us as Muslims, we have access to the Arabic, and this is why the Arabic language is very important for every Muslim to learn, because then you start to learn the deeper layers of your religion. When we speak to Christians, we can speak to them on a deeper level, but that is only if we have knowledge of what the Arabic texts say. What I don't want to do is try and say that the Christians have no knowledge or belittle them in any way. I say that Christians lack knowledge because they have a certain limit into the knowledge.
They would find it hard to get answers here.
What would you call it? I mean, look, that is true. That there are people that don't give clear answers. Right? It's true. To be a da'i is to know your religion. To be a da'i is to know that you have knowledge, that you can explain complicated ideas to people who don't know much. This is very important.
I'm going to let that one slide.
No, this is not a dig. Nowhere. But again, look, it's not a dig at any Christian or any atheist or anything. It's literally because our sources are preserved in the Arabic language for good reason. It's so that we preserve the transmission, to preserve the knowledge as it was transmitted to us. And we have to bring this. This is why one of the questions that I personally ask Christians in particular, because these are the people I conversate with the most, is do you have access to the Arabic material? Whether it's through education of the Arabic language or if you have a friend that speaks the Arabic language. Because without that, you can't know much. There are many hadith. Today in the park, I've had a few hadith asked of me where it is asked of me on a superficial level, and again, the reason is because they only have the translations of Bukhari. They can't speak to me on what Fath al-Bari says or what Imam al-Nawawi says.
About 10 minutes ago, I'm just saying.
Yeah. And so this is what we need to know. We need to have this knowledge to be able to explain it to them in a concise manner. So inshallah that's clear. Have patience with the people of the book. Allah has honored the people of the book in the Quran, given them that title, and not just mushrikeen. So be patient with them. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Christians that they are dearer to us, that they are closer to us. So have patience with them. And if you do see hostility, repay with kindness. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't the speech of the Muslims so much that brought people to Islam. It was the character of the Muslims. It was the character of Rasulullah. This is why his akhlaq is the thing that was praised, not so much his speech. So brothers and sisters, learn your religion. It is an obligation. And have patience with the people you speak to. Embody the character of Rasulullah. And inshallah, the worst of people may become your friends. And inshallah, your brothers and sisters in Islam. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Whose is this? Is it your one, yeah? It's okay. What do you call it?